Hi there, welcome to Elm Colors. I'm Erica. On today's video, we are going to be doing the next letter in our How I Color alphabet series, which is E for eyes. And I have several books pulled to show you some of the examples of eyes that I have done. And then we will get into coloring a couple different eyes. And yeah, so I'm gonna just go ahead and show you what I've got here. So this first one is one that I just recently finished, and this one is one of my favorite eyes that I've ever done. And most of that is due to the artist, because she already has beautiful eyes even without the color on them. So you can see here, I mean, it's just lovely. I mean, you wouldn't even need to add color into it. But once you do add the color, it just brings them to life. And I love it. I thought that those turned out so beautiful. So that was from Grazia Salvo Kindness. And if you guys don't have any of her books, they're just awesome books. I love her artwork, and the paper is really awesome too. And then the other ones that I have to show you are all from Hannah Carlzon, because she just has the best, just the best. Another one that I did was this one. And yeah, I liked those eyes. Let's see, what else do I got? I have these eyes. These ones that aren't done. So there's a blue one. The fun thing about eyes is that you can really make them literally whatever color you want. Like, you don't have to stick to a regular color. So here are purple eyes. Yeah. Do I have any more in this one? Oh, this one is the other one I wanted to show you guys. So here's some green eyes. So yeah, so basically, where was that one? That one's a pretty one too. Yeah, basically I just wanted to show you a few examples. I've got a really pretty blue one in here. Yeah, there's some pretty blue eyes. Just wanted to show you some examples of some eyes that I have done, and I don't think there's any more in this one. Nope. So and then we're going to get started on coloring a few. So let me get that stuff together and I will be right back with you. Okay, I have moved you in a little bit closer, so hopefully you guys will be able to see what I'm going to do here. I am going to use this picture. Now, this has been based with all Neo colors, and I do plan to go back in and add some more here and there, but I figured this one was a good one to start with. So I'm going to be using Polychromos pencils today. And the first thing that I typically do is I will go through with a couple of grays to make the shadows on the eyes. So normally when you have on your eyes, they're not just straight white. You need to have those shadows in there to make it look white, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. So I'm going to use these two warm grays, and you can use any grays that you have. It doesn't just have to be warm grays. And actually on the next eye, I'll show you with a cool gray, just so you can kind of see the difference. But yeah, so I'm going to use warm gray. So I've got warm gray 3 and warm gray 4. I think that's what these are. So I'm going to start with the lighter one first, and I'm just going to go along the edge of the lash line. And when I get to this area right here where this little corner of your eye is, I'm going to stop before I get to that. And the same thing, I'm going to come over here, and I'm actually on the bottom part, I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap between the gray and the white. And then I'm going to do the same over here. And when I get to that corner, I'm going to kind of round up. So it's like the eyeball is there. as kind of like a circle there. Okay, and then I'm going to take my darker gray and go right along the lash line. And right along the lash line here. Add that light gray, that lighter gray back in a little bit. And then I am going to add a little bit of a darker gray. So this is the Warm Gray 6. Again, just underneath that lash line, just to get some really good shadow going on there. Okay, and then color outwards a little bit from that with the Warm Gray 4, and then with the Warm Gray 3. You do want to reserve a little bit of white in there so that it doesn't completely, it's not completely gray. And I'm going to use my Prisma white because that's just what I use. It's my favorite. Yeah, and I'm just going to start in the white area and then move out into the gray and blend it a little bit that way. Okay. And then for the corner there, I usually use a little bit of a flesh tone. So I'm going to use this Cinnamon from Polychromos. And I'm just in the corner of the eye going to add a little bit of color. And then I'm going to use my white to soften that up. Okay, so there's that. So now we're going to work on the eye itself, the iris itself. And I have a 3-color combo for this one. So I've got Helio Turquoise, which is 155. I have Cobalt Turquoise, which is 153. And I have Light Cobalt Turquoise, which is 154. So I'm going to start with my darkest color up at the top. And typically when I do eyes, I have the darker color at the top and then a lighter color down at the bottom. So I'm going to start with that color, continue down with this next lighter one, and then I'm going to use this lightest color, and I'm almost going to meet, but not quite. So you can see I've left a little bit of a white space there. And since these are layering pencils, I'm going to go back over again with each of the colors. And again with the darkest color right at the top. Okay, and then I'm going to take my white pencil again, make sure that it's cleaned off. I don't want any other colors mixed in there, and I'm going to go right across that highlight and blur that all together. Okay. Darken it up again, and then I'll take my black. So this is the Polychromos black. Color right in that pupil. There you go. So that's the basic eye, and then I always will add in a highlight with the white. But so typically what I'll do now is I will then take my black, and again I'm going to go along this lash line right underneath, and I'm going all the way across to create that little bit more of a shadow. And I'm going to go across the iris there so that it shows that that's also in shadow. Yeah, and then the other thing that I would do, I would typically add in makeup and stuff, but I don't want to do that on this eye. I'll show you on a different eye. I don't want to do that on this eye since my skin's not done yet. But I would typically follow this whole lash line with black and darken that up, darken up the lashes, and all that stuff. And then I will add in my highlight. Actually, I'm going to add that one right there. Okay, so that's kind of how I would do that. I'm going to color this other one. I'm going to speed that up for you guys so you can see how I do that, and then we'll come back and you guys can see the whole, both eyes together. see what the eyes look like. That's basically it. Hopefully the glare is not too bad. I know that that light is a little bright, but yeah, so that's it. And sometimes I will do an extra little line like I did on this other page. Hold on, let me. So on this one, there's a little white line along the top. Sometimes I will do that, but on this one, I just wanted the highlight right in the center. The other thing is you need to remember to put the highlight in the same place on each eye so that so it looks like the light is reflecting off of both eyes, so there's one light source, if that makes sense. I hope that makes sense. Just remember, put the highlight exactly the same on each eye, and you'll be good to go. So there are those beautiful eyes, and I am going to grab a couple other pages that I'm going to try to do eyes on, and I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, so we're going to attempt to do this one. This one is a little bit different because it's from the side. The basics are still the same, so you're still going to want to make sure that you have your shadows in there, that you have lighter on the top and a little bit, darker on the top and lighter on the bottom, and you still do want to have some kind of highlight on the eye. So I am going to go ahead and get started. I'm just going to go through, so I'm using cold grays this time from Polychromos, and I've got cold gray 2, 4, and 6. So I'm just going to go ahead and start with those, and yeah, I'll show you guys that. Another good tip is to make sure that your pencils are super sharp. Now on this side one, you're only going to have a tiny, tiny bit of that white showing on this one. It's going to be mostly gray. Okay, and then I am going to use my white in there, make sure that it's cleaned off. Okay, and then I've got 2 blues to do this eye. So I pulled light, is it Phthalo? I don't know how to pronounce these crazy ones. It's Polychromos, it's 145 and 110. So I'm going to start with the darkest one up at the top, and then lighter down towards the bottom. And this is also a good way to look at eyes when they're very far away and when they're not super detailed and up close. This is just, you can always just use 2 colors and make it darker at the top and lighter at the bottom. Okay, and then I'm going to add in the pupil here. And a little bit more shadow from the lash line. All right, and that's basically it for that one. I might add a little bit more shadow down here too. Okay, and there's not really any indication of where the light should be, the highlight should be for this page. So I am just going to make up my own mind, and I'm going to put it right at the top corner of her eye there, just a tiny little dot. So yeah, so that's it for that one. I hope you guys are able to see what I'm doing here. So yeah, so there is that one. Let me get the next page and I will be right back with you. Okay, so this is a PDF that I had recently done the skin on. So I'll be able to show you the whole eye this time instead of just the eyeball. So I'm going to do the same thing where I go in with my grays first, and then I'm going to focus on the iris. The nice thing about this one is since it's a grayscale image, there are already highlights and the pupil is already done. So we won't even have to worry about that too much. So I'm going to go in and do the gray a little bit more there's already a good amount of grayscale in there. But I'm going to add to that, and then we'll do the iris as well. I am using Cool Grays from Prismacolor, and then I'm going to go ahead and do both of the eyes themselves, and then when we do the irises, I'll come back and let you know what the colors I picked for those were. Okay, I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I've got the blues that I've picked here are these 4. I've got Cloud Blue, which is PC 1023, Blue Lake, PC 1102, China Blue, PC 1100, and Indanthrone Blue, PC 208. So for this one, I'm going to hold off on my darkest blue first. I'm going to start with my lightest blue. And this is a little backwards from what I would normally do it, but since that grayscale is already here, I know where my colors are going to be going. I do want to leave quite a bit of a highlight there because I want these eyes to look light. I don't want these to be super dark blues, even though I have a couple of blues, darker blues pulled out. I want those to be just like a shadow color more than the actual color of the eye. Okay, so I used my Cloud Blue. Now I'm coming in with the Blue Lake. Typically when I do a portrait, I will do the skin first, then the lips, then a little bit of the hair, and then finally I will do the eyes last. I don't know why. That's just always how I've done it. Okay, I might not need that Indanthrone Blue actually, because this is a nice dark color. Okay. I'm going to go back over with Blue Lake. And then the Cloud Blue to try to blend things out down at the bottom. Oh, I do like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that Indanthrone Blue, and I am going to do just a tiny bit right at the top of the lash line here. Just a bit. And then I'm also going to outline the eye with that color. I'm going to trace that eyeball best I can. Hopefully I don't screw it up too bad. Come in again with that China Blue. Again, I'm just cycling through all the colors. So this is the Blue Lake. And the Cloud Blue would be last. And this should smooth out any rough edges that I have. Okay, use my white. Try to reserve that highlight a little bit. All right, so there's the iris The next thing that I would typically do, and I'm only doing this because the grayscale is a little bit light. I'm going to take my black Prisma and I am going to color in around the highlights as best I can inside the pupil. Just to darken that up a little bit. So I don't know if you can see the difference between those two, but that's kind of okay. So there's that. So now my next step would typically be I would take my black and I'm going to go right along this lash line. I'm going to thicken that lash line up. Okay, so there's what we had done before. So now my next thing is I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of, I'm going to outline the eye a little bit and then bring attention to the lashes. I typically use black. I'm not sure what color her hair is going to be yet. I think I'll probably end up doing either a really dark brown or a black. So I'm going to go ahead and do this with a black. You can also use a brown, a dark brown, a light brown, whatever colors that you feel like the lashes would be. You could go with that. So I'm just going to, I'm going to thicken up this line a little bit because I always do. And then I add a little bit of a flicking motion wherever the artist has put in lashes. And sometimes I'll extend them longer and other times I won't. So I'm very lightly tracing this bottom lash line. Very lightly adding in those eyelashes at the bottom. There we go. So let me get this one done on this side. Okay, so there's her eyes. I really like the way that those turned out. I like that I was able to make that dark ring around the outside. I think that's a fun way to do it. And then I've got one more page that I want to show you some eyes and a little bit of a technique that you can do to add a little bit more interest to it other than just a straight eye color. So actually one more thing I'm going to do really quick is I'm just going to bring attention to where these highlights are with a little bit of Posca. Okay, so there's that. There's her beautiful blue eyes, and I will be right back with the next one. Okay, so this page has been a little bit of an experiment. I am using, this is in the Color & Chicks Coloring Book 2 by Duria Kakirsi, I think is how you say it. This is printed on that slightly better Amazon paper, and I have been having a little bit of trouble with my pencils on it. So I have experimented with a few different brands. I also I've done all of the skin in Polychromos, and it does not like this paper. So this is as good as it's going to get on the skin. I can't do any better. But I did find that my Black Widows, which I think is this one, they worked pretty well. Oh wait, no, that's this one. That's my Black Widows. This is Prismacolor. It works, but it's just not fun to do. And then these two are actually Shuttle Art, which is a pretty budget pencil. So I was surprised that I was able to get that to work with those. But I'm going to keep trying to play with this paper and see what other pencils I've got that work well with this. But she's going to be my autumn leaf fae. So I thought that I would give her some really pretty brown, golden brown eyes. So I'm going to really quickly grab everything that I need for that, and I will be right with you. Okay, I decided to use my Shuttle Art pencils for this. So I'm going to do the same thing with the grays here. I'm going to use these. I've got lead gray and light brownish gray. So I'm going to start with the lighter one first. And since the lashes are done pretty well, I won't have to add very much black to that. And this black, the printed black on here is really nice and dark. So it won't be an issue for me to shade this and everything, or I mean to make it stand out. So I'm just adding in the light gray right under the lash line and then along the bottom as well. This part in the corner, I'm going to add in a little bit of this nude color, and then I think that's just where the eye, I thought that was part of the eye right here, but I think it's just where the lashes connect. So this is still part of her skin right there. Okay, so I've got the light color down. I'm going to come in with the darker color now. And these eyes are nice and big. So you can add in a little bit of fun detail on this one. Okay, the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to continue this light gray up along the edge where the eye curves right here, and then back in this corner as well. And again, I'm going to come in with my Prismacolor white and smush things around, because that's what that's for. Although it doesn't work wonderfully on this paper. Okay. All right, so we got the gray part done, the shadows part, and now I'm going to use several different browns to add in my golden color. So this first one, I'll just show you all the colors. So I've got golden yellow, apricot yellow, chocolate, and dark coffee. So I'm going to go in with the golden yellow first, or ginger yellow, I'm sorry, ginger yellow. And add in all the way around, leaving that highlight area down at the bottom. These pencils tend to work better when you do light layers. So you want to make sure that you're using a very light pressure on this. Okay, so I've got these lovely eyes. I think I want to make it a little bit darker. So I'm going to take my black Prisma and just very lightly put a layer of that at the very top. And then I'll come back in again with that darkest brown which was dark coffee, and extend that color out a little bit more. Okay, I like that. All right, so my next step after I get this all shaded and done is going to be, I'm going to add in a little bit of texture to the eyes. And I don't do this often, but sometimes on these big eyes like this, it's fun to do. Now, you'll notice in like Hannah Carlzon books, let me see if I can find one really quick. Her, the eyes that she draws typically have the texture coming from the outside here. Here's one that's not been colored yet. But you can see there's lines coming from the outside of the pupil towards the inside. There's also, you could also do it the opposite way, which I think might be, yeah. So on this page, you can see that she's got the lines coming out from the pupil. And I think that's what I'm going to try to do with this cute little girl. So I'm just going to take my black Prisma and draw tiny little lines coming from that pupil. And I'm just doing little bitty ones and right at the edge of the pupil. So I'm just following the edge of the pupil, just tiny little lines, some a little bit longer. They don't have to be evenly spaced. And then I'm gonna just make sure that that has a nice edge. All right, so that's really it. And then I can clean up the highlight with my Posca here, where I got, oops. Well, that's how it's going to be now. And then I think on this one, because I want her eyes to be fun and focused, I'm going to do just kind of tiny little dots down in the corner here, just like that. All right, so that is it. So those are our eyes. I hope that you guys enjoyed that. I hope I showed you something that you can use today. So there's those ones again, and here's our blue ones. You can kind of see a little bit of the difference between the two. And yeah, the nice thing about this one is that since the lashes were already done, I didn't have to do too much to it. I can always come in and add a little bit of extra underneath, like the lash line here. But I don't want to add too much because she's not like a scary makeup kind of picture, I don't think. At least that's not what I see when I see her. So there you go. So those are my eyes. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And next time will be F is for fur. Yeah. Let me again preface this by saying, I guess not preface, but end this by saying I am not an artist. These are all just things that I have found that work for me. And I hope that any of these tips or techniques will benefit you all. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching today. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.